have flown. Hell is frozen over. The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl.
4-3, game on the line. Williams lofting one for a doozy. He caught
it! You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pigskin Project. Super Bowl week. Rest in peace, Sweet Pea, for those of you that know. Matt, how we doing?
Chat, we're finally here. We're finally here at the Super Bowl. How exciting for all of us. I love the Super Bowl week. I do, because if we, I don't know about you guys, but the last few years, I take the game as like with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cherry on top, if that makes sense. Like, football season's over to me. I'm completely shifted into scouting mode, but it is nice to have one more game for all the marbles that everybody gets to talk about, everybody gets to watch, even if it is for the commercials or the halftime show. Everybody's tuned in. I think it's one of the few left events in America that I feel like everybody is watching. That makes sense. So I always love to reminisce on that. But I went long. Ben, how are you?
Oh no, I'm doing great. Excited for the Super Bowl. Definitely rooting for the Seahawks. Big Mike Mack guy. Go blue. But really quickly, did we watch the Pro Bowl? Did any of us watch the Pro Bowl? I know, Ryan, you tuned in at the perfect time. You tuned in right when Micah Parsons was scooting out on
scooting around. Yeah, the guy, dude. Yeah, I watched it for all of 2 seconds and immediately turned it off.
Yeah.
I am in favor of them just doing away with it. My coworker and I were talking about it, and I feel like it's the most pointless thing. There are sports that do it right, in my opinion.
Hockey.
Yeah, hockey does it right. I would say baseball does it right. Those are things that sports that need to happen. But I feel like the Pro Bowl is just not serious anymore. You know what I mean? Nobody really cares. I remember as a kid being like, this is something I'd like to watch, what do you mean Peyton Manning and Drew Brees are on the field at the same time and they're taking snaps from other people, that's pretty cool. And then I don't know. Now we're playing flag football and the score is consistently in the 50s. It's just, I just don't have any interest in it anymore. Maybe we're just phased out of it. I don't know, but I'm cool with it just never being a thing again. It's being aired on a random Tuesday in the middle of the week. So it's there's no specific day for it anymore. And if we could just get to the Super Bowl at this point, it's kind of where I'm at. And that's where I've been since I was a kid. We have that little stopgap week and that's it. So it's just I don't know. Lots of good playoff football, and then you get Pro Bowl, and then another good playoff game, and then that's it. That, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I might be in favor of a Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl, maybe. I don't know.
That would be fun.
As that would be the cherry on top. But again, who would watch it? Because it's all done. I don't know. They kind of capitalize on everybody being starved of football content. So. Anyways, Matt, layout?
The layout for the show. We kind of touched on it last week where I think everything is going to be Super Bowl related, except 2 coaches got hired, including one that's in the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that. I think we'll talk about how these teams got here a little bit. I think that's fun to do, to just trace back. And how, I don't know about you guys, but I feel more connected to this Super Bowl than even any year of the last decade. Truly. And I'll explain myself. I'll explain it away, but we'll get into preview. We'll get into betting angles. what is it? I think I don't know how many bets I placed, but I've
A
been going
lot.
crazy on the Super Bowl. Yeah. I have been going crazy on the tabs, but let's get into coaches. We kind of touched on it, Ben. We were right.
Yes, we did.
Cliff
Yeah.
Kingsbury is the head coach of the Raiders, and Mike LaFleur
What?
is the coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Do
you think there's any-
By the way,
What'd I say?
you said Cliff Kingsbury.
I did. Well, it shows where I am.
Yeah.
Has he gotten there? No. But do you think there's any chance that like Michael Bidwell, the Arizona owner, was like he thought he was hiring Matt LaFleur? Because like you have the whole
The M.
if
LaFleur.
they don't succeed in the playoffs, he might get canned, and then like they did lose in dramatic fashion, and it's like they might not give him an extension, blah blah blah. And then he hires a LaFleur.
Yeah.
I think it's a
No,
non-zero chance.
I think
Even
it's
if
a
it is like
non-zero
5.
chance, but it is probably still very unlikely. But I was honestly shocked that they were kind of able to hire like a good caliber head coach. Like I was worried for this team that it was gonna get to like the Cleveland Browns level-esque in terms of like the coaching hunt, just because I really think this job is extremely unappealing, and this is truly where like coaches come to die. Like in recent history, there has not been a coach to like succeed here for more than like 2 or 3 years. So I didn't expect them to be able to like actually get a guy that was a well touted name. So it worked out well for them. And then we touched on Clint Kubiak last week because we all kind of knew that was what was going to happen. So if you want to know that, go watch last week's episode.
Yeah, I mean, just not
Any riveting
Really too-
thoughts, Ryan?
just not really
Right.
too moved on it.
Really
What?
quickly, you were not here for last week's episode, so I will give you the chance of all the head coaches that were hired over the past 2 or 3 months. Who was your favorite hiring and who was your least favorite hiring? And
my
to
favorite.
recap
Yeah.
for everyone, that is LaFleur to the Cardinals, Stefanski to the Falcons, Minter to the Ravens, Joe Brady to the Bills, Todd Monken to the Browns, Kubiak to the Raiders, Halfley to the Dolphins, Harbaugh to the Giants, McCarthy to the Steelers, and Saleh to the Titans. But your favorite and then least favorite, and you can't say Todd Monken for your least favorite. Or Mike
Okay.
McCarthy. You can't say Mike McCarthy. Anyways.
Oh, is that what you guys said or what?
No, you can't say Mike McCarthy. You could say Monken for your least favorite if you want, but I'm going to force you to not say Mike McCarthy because we all know how you feel about Mike
Screw
McCarthy.
Mike
on this
McCarthy.
podcast.
Yeah. So no, Monken was going to be my least favorite for sure, but Stefanski's my favorite hire for Atlanta. I think that's a lot of fun. Throughout his years in Cleveland, like he's had a really good run game, and given he'll be blessed with Bijan Robinson, that's really fun to look forward to. And I mean, I don't know, I'm not quite out on him. I think that it was just a Browns thing as of now. Right.
Yes.
And the defense and everything, it was. I mean, the Browns defense is going to be good, but I mean, what has he had to work with offensively for the last like 3 years? You know what I mean? Like post Baker and that era, you know what I mean? And note like when Baker and OBJ and Jarvis Landry, like those were guys that, he was playing with like, I think that was the prime Nick Chubb years and stuff like that. Like he had some pieces to work with in Cleveland, and I think he's going to have a little bit of that in Atlanta as well. And it just makes me excited just because, I think of all teams and people, you know what I mean? Maybe not fan bases, I get it. But like Bijan, I feel like deserves to be on a winning team. That is a good player. And I just hate to see him like, I don't know. Exactly. Least favorite, I was gonna go Monken. Not a fan of him like completely just like trashing the Browns and then like moving on to the Browns. That's not fun. And I mean, just the overall Browns coaching search was just horrible. So
Yeah.
like pretty positive. Like it didn't just have to be Monken. Like there was one candidate that I had on my radar. He coaches for the Rams. I forget his name. But
Oh, there was no shot he was going there. Oh my gosh. I
that's
would
like
cry.
that's like one of my favorite candidates on the market
Yeah.
right now. And it's just like, I think he went back to the Rams, I think, right?
Yeah, well, I
Um,
think he's their OC now that, Mike
Yeah.
Lure has left.
He'll be a head coach next cycle. And
Yep.
like that was kind of the guy that I was hoping Cleveland would land, given, their current situation. I was hoping he would be the guy, like, and especially with how long Stefanski kind of stuck around. I was hoping that they would give a guy like him some time, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, to let the offense get built around somebody like Shadur Sanders. And I'm looking forward to see exactly how Sanders gets
Pro
developed.
Bowl.
Pro Bowler, yeah. Dear
Thank you very
God.
much.
Again, do away with that stupid game. But yes. As far as the coaching hires for this week, again, nothing really moved me too much.
We'll see. Oh,
We're done with that. That's awesome. Hello?
you're good.
good?
I think your mic is good. Yeah, your mic cut out
Okay.
there.
I was saying, like,
Okay.
thank God we're done with that. We're good. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was really it.
There you go. Matt, how did we on to the Super Bowl? Here we are, as you would all expect for this show. At this point going forward, it will be all Super Bowl related, as it probably should, considering we are like 4 days out from the Super Bowl. And Matt has some very incriminating information about the three of us in terms of how we ended up getting to this point.
Yeah, I mean, how we get to the Super Bowl is one of the more crazy stories of the NFL the last decade, I think, because nobody on this podcast predicted either the Patriots nor the Seahawks to even make the playoffs. Each of them won 14 games and made the Super Bowl, so good on us. But what I was referencing about like how I feel connected, both of these teams are like the American dream to make the Super Bowl, right? Specifically, like compared to last year. It was very easy to explain away how the Chiefs made it, or the Eagles made it. How'd the Chiefs make it? Well, they got the best player. They got Mahomes, and he did it again. Like he lifts them up in the end against Buffalo, and he lifts them up in the end in the divisional round against, I think it was Houston, right? They win 15 games in the regular season, blah, blah, blah. Philadelphia had like they didn't even have a hole. Like their run game was really good with DeAndre Swift. And they were like, what if we put a supernova running back in the backfield? Let's go get Saquon Barkley. And he rushes for 2,000 yards and then rushes for over 300 in 3 games going to the Super Bowl. Has a quiet Super Bowl, but you know what I'm saying. And all of these can be explained away. Like when the Rams make it, well, they traded for Stafford. Whenever the Niners make it, well, they have the best coach in Shanahan, and they continue to have great structure. Both of these teams, the Patriots and Seahawks, 2 years ago fired Hall of Fame coaches, and they're in the Super Bowl. And then you think about the offseason. Mike Vrabel took over a team that won 8 games in 2 seasons, fired 2 coaches in 2 years. And then his free agency plan was, I'm just going to get a ton of guys that I like. Robert Spillane, Carlton Davis, goes and overpays for Milton Williams. And then Milton Williams ends up being like the sole reason they're in the Super Bowl because of the way he blew up that 4th down against the Broncos. And like them going over the top to say like, we're not going to lose this guy in a bidding war is pretty impressive. And then their draft is hilarious. It was just Let's just draft a bunch of guys to around Drake May. Let's go get Henderson. Let's go get Campbell. Let's get Jared Wilson, who's going to play left guard for us, even though he's a center. Kyle Williams, who hasn't really been also Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is a player. Did any of us think Stephon Diggs was going to impact anything this season, let alone be the anchor of a Super Bowl pass catching unit? No. And then you get into that's just the Patriots side of like, oh, the Patriots do it again. And then the Seattle side, Seattle's even more impressive to me because they're in the toughest division you can make the argument for. And after one season, Mike McDonald won 10 games with Ryan Grubb and was like, oh, this sucks. I'm going to get rid of my offensive coordinator, bring in the offensive coordinator from the Saints who won 6 games last year. I'm going to trade my quarterback, Geno Smith, who most of us liked. We're all wrong.
No, we
were
did.
all wrong. Yeah. Like, they trade away DK Metcalf. The pick that they use for DK Metcalf, they go up and get a guy like Nick Eamon-Warry, who, again, is breaking my brain as I watch him play football.
Breaking news, by the way, the Seahawks announced today that he had an injury in practice. He was able to walk off on his own, but it was an ankle injury. Don't know if he's going to miss the Super Bowl, but he is listed as questionable. Carry on. Sorry.
That is impactful. That's not nothing. But, like, there's just overhaul. And then, well, okay, you're going to trade away your quarterback. You're going to trade away one of your longest tenured players on offense in Metcalf, who's kind of like, when you thought of the Seahawks the last half decade, it was Pete Carroll and DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett. Cut Tyler Lockett as well. And they've just retooled this, and it's like, why not get Sam Darnold? Why not, JSN's good, but he's a slot guy. And then JSN becomes the closest thing I've seen to prime Antonio Brown. That just everything about this season. And also the defensive end. Going in, being like, oh, we have a ton of guys. Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, Chenna Nwosu. I can keep naming them. And they're like, well, we need one more. DeMarcus Lawrence, who played 100 snaps last year. He's going to be a player for us. Cooper Kupp, who clearly we all looked at as washed. Like, he would be a fun, and he completes this offense as well. They drafted a guard in the first round. They drafted a safety with the 35th pick I just mentioned. They drafted a tight end who didn't really do anything, but still, like, low premium positions in the draft that you can go and look, and Seattle draft grades are probably C's everywhere. C+, because they didn't draft edge rushers or receivers or a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. The most exciting part of our team in the offseason, Ben, was talking about Jalen Milroe. He fumbled in the first game of the season. Like, it's just, I was thinking long and hard about this, about, like, this is the Super Bowl that I hope fans are watching and realizing, like, it gives you hope. Because it gave me hope as a Saints fan. Both sides. Of, like, if we get the coach right, we can kind of stabilize the ground floor with mid-tier free agents. And maybe you just hit it right. Maybe you get the right guys, the right coach. The quarterback is and again, the Patriots are kind of an anomaly because Drake May goes from, hey, he's kind of fun in like 7 games or whatever he played last year, MVP guy. So again, maybe they're an outlier and everything else like just rises to the tide of what he is, but he's sucked in the playoffs so far. So you can't even like really make that argument to me. And then Seattle side is like, it's the Steelers conundrum. We're 10-7. We're good enough to be like right there, but let's still retool this in a way. Like, tear it down, retool, however. They traded their quarterback and receiver. Like, that's a tear down. And somehow they won 4 more games out of it. And Sam Darnold looks like, I mean, to be in Minnesota right now and like have to watch this game. They fired their GM because of it.
Their GM fired, yeah.
Like, well, that's also because of paternity leave, but just overall, like, it gives me hope as a Saints fan saying, like, what if, Tyler Shuck year 2? What if it looks like Drake May? Or what if it looks like 70% of Drake May? You get some guys right in the draft. This could win the division. And then, like, the other side of it, like, think about the Raiders. They're going to get Mendoza. They have $90 million in cap space. The Titans are the same thing. We have Cam Ward, $80-something million in cap space. What if we have the right coach now because they're hiring new coaches? And then you think about, like, I mean, nobody really compares to Seattle except, like, maybe Minnesota, if that makes sense. If, like, they swap out McCarthy for a competent quarterback, even though, like, Darnold, the parallels there.
Yeah.
Or the Giants. Like, the Giants, being right there with a new coach and Harbaugh. Like, there's just so many teams in the league that are probably watching this game going, this could be us. And I don't think many Super Bowls have ever been like that, because most Super Bowls have been pointing and saying, well, I don't have a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Well, I don't have a GM like Howie Roseman to build a roster like that. Like, we just don't have the assets to build a roster like this. I don't have a coach like Kyle Shanahan. And now it's like,
I think it's encouraging too as Seahawks fans, or for Seahawks fans, strictly because it's like we were 10-7, missed the playoffs because of a strength of victory tiebreaker, and now we're in the Super Bowl after making moves that terrified us in the offseason. Like, nobody felt good about the Sam Darnold signing. There's no way you could find somebody. I understand he played well, but here's the thing. How many good years of Sam Darnold did he have compared to how many bad ones did he have, before that signing? And you're going to pay him that much. I remember reacting to it on my lunch break when it broke and us being like, it's a lot of money. I hope it works out for them.
And it was a fake contract on purpose. There was no guarantees into deep into the they could have, if this went according to where I thought it would, is that they could cut him after year one, maybe be in position for a Ty Simpson right now. Yeah. But they again, the total opposite. Like, every bet they made was right. And similar to New England, it's just
I do want to say and stake, Ben and I, at least, I don't remember if you were on the same train, but I remember Ben and I having a conversation saying JSN's going to be the real deal. And he was. So out of all the things we were wrong about, I just want to say we were at least right about that.
But that's the thing. I said he was going to be a top 10 wide receiver going into the year, and I was still wrong. I still undershot it, and I said he was going to be a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Again, I don't think anyone expected this growth from the Seahawks. I don't even think many Seahawks fans expected this growth. Aside from the one Seahawks fan that I often have thought about over the course of the last, I don't know, month, who was in our comments 8
Shout
months
out to
ago.
that guy.
And I went back
that was Mike McDonald.
Yeah, I went back through and I wanted to find it because I really wanted to give him props. I mean, this kid stood up on what person stood up for what he believed. And I mean, he had talked about, he said, the Seahawks are going to win at least 2 playoff games. Well, look at them now. They won 2 playoff games and they're now in the Super Bowl. I often think about him. I don't know if he still listens or they still listen, but just know we didn't forget about you. That one random Seahawks fan that stumbled across. But the main reason I'm bringing that up is because I remember all of us, when we had seen that comment, were like, holy delusion, right? We're like, there's no
fun
way,
to be a fan.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's fun to be a fan of your team, but that's not going to happen. And I remember all of us having that same reaction, and here we are. As you said, no one expected this. This team gives, 15, 16, 17, 30 teams hope that they can be this team here next year, assuming you make the right moves when it matters the most. And, sometimes it might be tough moves, like moving on from a quarterback or moving on from a DK Metcalf. But sometimes those risks play off. Sometimes those gambles get you to, spots that you couldn't have even imagined.
Yeah, I think all 32 teams. Well, you said 30. So, I mean, obviously not the 2 teams that are in the Super Bowl. I get it. But, I agree with you when you say, those other 30 teams, it could be you pretty quick. And, I mean, this dates back to, what was it, 2020 or 2021 when the Bengals made it that quick? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't seen Joe Burrow and the Bengals back since, but these things can happen, you know, and it takes a little bit of luck, but at the end of the day, like this is one of, if not, in my opinion, it is the hardest championship to get to, let alone win, and in all of sports. And you know, in that sense, it's like it is absolutely incredible to see the run that these two teams have gone on, in comparison to, you know, the Rams, who have been contenders for, you know, the last 4 years at this point, 5 years, and you know, like since they won the Super Bowl, like since Matthew Stafford has been on that team, they have been contenders. And you know, then you look at the Broncos, which, you know, obviously AFC Championship losers, like I think that they could have probably been here too. Like, you know, that's just another team that you look at and you're like, Bo Nix probably should have played in this game. And, you know, now we're in the same exact spot. Like you're looking at that team also thinking we should be encouraged about where we're at, even though it's disappointing that, you know, the injury happened, but it's like, you know, you've got 4 teams right off the top of your head to where it's like, we're in a good spot right now. And that's not even mentioning the rest of the field. It's like, you know, you go on a run, you feel pretty good about it. But this Seahawks team, man, the turnaround, and I feel like we're emphasizing on them a lot more. So, you know, sorry to Patriots fans, but I feel like the run that they've gone on this year specifically, and then to look that dominant in the divisional round and then back it up in the conference championship by winning that game, and then now you're here, like gives off the feeling of they could really tear into the Patriots this time. I'm really hoping it's a close game, because like the last thing you want is one of those games like the Seahawks did against the Broncos and Peyton Manning. But it's like I have a feeling to where there's at least a slight chance that could tear into it because of how good this team as a whole unit has been.
But
pretty incredible.
Even to Matt's point though about the Patriots, because again, you know, we had focused a little bit of that conversation on the Seahawks. And for the Patriots, for you know, maybe a similar reason, but a different reason, right? They can still give so much hope to so many different people. And it goes back to that old adage that, like, if you can find the right guy to be your signal caller, you can get here. Because what does Drake May have? I mean, like, I hate to say it, but, like, all of us agree. We went into this season and we said, well, there's not a really good surrounding cast around Drake May. Yeah, they hired Mike Vrabel, and, like, good for him. But if you can get that head coaching and quarterback pairing correct, that can get you here. Whether that's developing it or, you know, finding it in your own way, like Mike Vrabel. But it can give hope to even those other teams, obviously in a different way, because the Patriots are so much more focused on like the singularity that is Drake May compared to the Seahawks in terms of making all the right margin moves. But you know, your quarterback goes off for one season, and here we are, and you know, they're in the MVP conversation, and you can find yourself playing in the Super Bowl, and no one expected it.
Yeah. Should we make some picks on this one? What do you think?
One last thing.
Yeah.
I just want to go full circle into the offseason. Because remember, I did these questions for every team. So I just wanted to look back at what I said. I haven't looked at these in months and months. But, like, for the Seahawks, they trade away 2 formidable and competent players at premium positions because of payment in Geno and DK Metcalf to get actively worse and add draft capital screams rebuild, but they spent on 3 diminishing assets, Darnold, Kupp, and DeMarcus Lawrence, makes this fascinating. Do they want to be good? Do they want to thread the tightest of needles? Or are they slow tracking a rebuild, just turning every stone necessary? I think they threaded the needle, guys.
Threaded the needle in that one.
I think they threaded the needle.
Yeah.
And then New England. This was like, there's a lot of blah, 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 this and that. Draft capital, blah, volume, draft picks. But like the biggest one here is in a year's time, whether this team wins 3 games or shocks and makes the playoffs with 9 or somehow makes Super Bowl winning 14 games. Are New England fans able to puff their chests out once again with the swag of we got our guy going into 2026 with Drake May? Hey, he's going to finish in the top 2 in MVP voting. I think they did. You know, like, so I just think this is 2 years ago, guys. They were firing Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick on back-to-back days. Bill Belichick looks like the oldest man on the universe in baby blue, in the Carolina baby blue, and he's not making and the biggest Bill Belichick story is not even his program. It's about how he's not making the Hall of Fame, and we need to change the voting again. And then Pete Carroll just led one of the single worst football seasons of the modern era with the Raiders this year. Like, again, it's just similar to college football to like turn it that way, like get the coach right. I mean, just get the coach right, and everything else like it seems to fall into place. But it's just, I think it's pretty cool because it gives me hope as a Saints fan. I mean, it gives both of. I mean, not that you guys needed any hope after like a great playoff season, but I just speaking for the bottom, for like every team picking in the top 10 right now. Like, we can make jokes about the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a good roster. I thought they were going to win 10 games this year. Like, what if Mike LaFleur is the answer? Like, who knows?
Should I make the point? This is the magic of what happens when a team like the Chiefs isn't in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun to like talk to people who, you know, don't watch the sport around me, watching the Super Bowl with me and being like, yeah, it's not just the guy with, you know, the team with the best player and the best roster. And I mean, maybe the Seahawks are the best roster, but you get my point. Like, this wasn't possible in August to anybody. And I have a question for you guys. Do you have a specific point this season watching either of these teams that you realize like, oh, this is real. Like, this is possible. If not, that's fine. But I have one specific in mind.
The Patriots one for me was just I don't think there was one specific game. I mean, you might be able to like point out like the early upset, you know, with Buffalo. I think it was like week 4 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But there's not one that specifically stands out for me in terms of then. But over the course of the season, at least in my mind, it always felt like it was the Rams, right? It was the Rams are going to be the team to beat. The Rams are going to be the team to beat. You know, you better watch out. Matt Stafford might get hot at the right time. You never want to play against him. And then what did the Seahawks do? They put together one of the best comebacks I've ever seen and ended up beating like the team in an overtime victory when they probably shouldn't have. And it was at that point I'm like, okay, well, maybe the Seahawks are actually a legit team. And, you know, I know that happened way later in the season, especially compared to week 4 with the Patriots. But it was at that moment where I'm like, yeah, the Seahawks team is legit.
I'm going to say for the Seahawks, it has to be the overtime win against LA. That'll probably be mine. For the Patriots, it's really hard to find one considering, I mean, they ended up they probably had the easiest schedule. And
they did.
You know,
they had the easiest schedule in like the last 10 years or something, but here they are.
Yeah. I think it took a while for the Patriots. So I'll just say like the divisional round, I guess, was like, you know, because I don't think anybody really thought like the Patriots are a favorite in the AFC because like I remember all of us being like, who's coming out of the AFC? Like the NFC is like, you know, whatever. But I think that game against the Texans was like really one of those where I'm like, they could beat Denver. Like, you know, so it obviously with Bo Nix and everything gone, it was like that's happening. But that would be my 2 probably. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, for New England, I definitely knew Drake May was really good, and I even predicted them to lose in the first round of the Chargers. So I was never sold on this defense. So like easily I could say, well, the Chargers game in the playoffs, but because that's when the defense really showed out. But I think like the first moment that it was like, I'll go back even further to the first time that I was like, oh, Drake May's the guy is when he played the Saints. When he played the Saints, what he was able to do down the field explosive, because like that's how, you know, so much of the NFL is programmed. How many coaches are built around like, how do I find explosives? How do I get, one of these players that is able to, like, he completed, I think he was like four passes of 40 plus air yards in that game alone. It was incredible, and every ball was just on the money. He had one taken away, I think, because of like an OPI on Diggs, where it was like just completely away from the play. I remember that. But that was the first time that I was like, oh, Drake May's like one of the 5 best quarterbacks. Like it's not just like, oh, this is a fun story, he's pretty good. And then for Seattle, I know they're not a good team, but when they beat the hell out of the Commanders on Sunday Night Football in the way that they did, that was the moment that I was turning heads going, oh, this team's definitely going to be in there. And if this defense plays like this when they're in there, going to be a hard out. But like you guys said, I mean, the Rams game, for them to be able to like have that gear offensively to beat LA and then do it again in the playoffs, I mean, I think that's the moment for everybody. And everybody's going to have the Patriots game against the Bills and that LA game. But for me personally, like those were just the moments that, like, watching live, that it's like, oh, this is different. This really is different, huh? And so,
yeah.
But we went long on that. I'm happy we did. It's just a fun discussion for both of these teams, because I think it does include all 30 others that aren't participating.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make our picks. What do we think?
Well, before the picks, I think it's important to talk about matchup, maybe keys to victories, points to watch in terms of like X's and O's and whatnot. I'm kind of going back to exactly where my head was at in terms of the Patriots, this time 2 weeks ago. Right. And it just comes down to, as Matt had even talked about when talking about Drake May and the Saints, it just comes down to how can the Seahawks limit explosive plays? Again, for those who didn't listen 2 weeks ago when I talked about explosive plays are, I think it is 20 yards through the air or 15 yards on the ground. And the Patriots lead the league in explosive play rate at 8.1%, but good for the Seahawks. They are actually the 4th best defense in terms of limiting explosive plays at just 4.6%. So it's just a matter of like, you have to make Drake May earn every single yard. Don't let him, hit something down, the left sideline like he did to Mac Holland or something like that. And just make him march down the field. And that all being said, I still probably think Drake May could still probably do that because he's that good of a quarterback. And then as far as the Patriots, defensive side of the football goes, I'm just interested to see how you stop Kenny Walker, right? I mean, since Zach Charbonnet has been out, this kid has been on an absolute tear over the last 2 games of the playoffs since Zach Charbonnet has been out. Ken Walker has 256 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns. The touchdowns is a little bit skewed because he had the 3 touchdowns in the divisional round. But the big thing that they showed, 2 weeks ago now at this point, was they were not scared to get him involved in the pass game. And he just seemed like a nice outlet. And it wasn't even just like outlet passes, but it was like actually him running routes down the field, and they utilized him very, very well. So I'm just interested to see, how Spillane, I would imagine at this point, is going to do against Ken Walker. Those are my 2 big points. I know Matt has some points, probably many points to bring to the table.
Yeah, I have some wordy points. Again, just breaking down literally every piece you can of this matchup, including special teams. Special teams is on here. But I feel like the first place you have to start is the Patriots offense, Seattle defense. That's where I think this is where, bread gets buttered for this matchup. And Drake May, regular season, we talked about it, MVP caliber quarterback, 0.25 EPA per dropback, literally the best in the NFL, 23.4 EPA generated on the ground. So he's one of the top scramblers in football. he had a pressure rate of 38.5, which was top 6. So even with all these stats, even this guy doing all these things, playing at an MVP level, he had one of the highest pressure rates in football. And then you get to the postseason, negative 0.18 EPA per dropback. That's equivalent to J.J. McCarthy's regular season. 9.8 EPA generated on the ground in 3 games. So again, that's like, what, over a third of what he did in 17 games in 3 games. So again, like, finding ways to win. Not in a way Tom Brady used to do it, but he's finding ways to win. And the pressure rate is only at 30.7%. So it's not even like, oh man, the Broncos just really got after him, or these great defenses have really just gotten after him and really wrecked the show. Like, yeah, maybe they have in the back end, but up front, it's been pretty clean compared to most of the season. I'll start with where I think, breaking it down from like, how do the Patriots, you said it, get explosive? Trying to emulate the Rams' success. You got to have a quarterback who's kind of like Matthew Stafford, which, I mean, there's only like 4 or 5 of those guys. Luckily, Drake May is one of those guys that he can really push the ball down the field, layer throws, push the ball into tight windows. But the biggest thing that I think the Rams did really, really well was they attacked these corners outside the numbers. And being able to have a quarterback to push the ball down the field against Reek Woolen and against, we saw Josh Jobe come in that game against Davante Adams, and it was like a target. Stafford knew where he was. Stafford found him and located him and went right at him. And again, there's no Nacua, there's no Adams on this team. Kayshon Boutte's a nice little player and one-on-one on the outside. Matt Collins had a fun little flea flicker catch in the snow. Maybe there's a Matt Collins catch in this game. Remember, he mossed someone, I think, last year against the Chiefs for the Bills. And then we know what Diggs can do, kind of in the slot, those corners, things like that. May's going to have to make those throws. Seattle's blitzing at a 13% rate, second lowest behind only Houston, who faced New England and had 5 sacks, 1 interception, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries against. So, I mean, if Seattle plays like that, I think they're going to win. The offensive line versus defensive line, I have numbers that kind of tell you that the allowed pressure rate for Patriots is 31.4. The Seattle pressure rate is just over 30%. Both of those are middle of the pack this postseason. But the eye test will tell you Seattle's defensive line is a lot better than this offensive line. So again, like, we could do the numbers thing, but eye test, I'm going to take Seattle. And then the run game, Stevenson and Henderson, I get they played in a blizzard, and it's really hard to create explosives. They've been abysmal. 75 carries for 251 yards combined, 3.3 yards per carry, 5 total explosives, which I count as 10-plus yards. So that's a 6.7 rate for 2 guys, including one that, like, coming out of college, his whole thing was being a home run hitter, which we'll get into in just a minute. Seattle this postseason is allowing negative 0.16 EPA per rush, third lowest. Only this New England defense and Houston have been better. So again, this is kind of, coughing baby hydrogen bomb with the run game that I'm don't know how they move the ball on the ground. And then finally, there just needs to be New England really needs to hit a home run. They had that crazy catch for Boutte over Stingley on 3rd down in the Texans game. They had, what was it? The crazy Drake May run against the Chargers, like right before half. That kind of created a gap a little bit. And then against it was on the defensive side of the ball, but the fumble for against the Broncos against Stidham. But the red zone, because I think the red zone plays a really big factor in this. The Patriots offense is 2 of 6. The Seattle defense is 2 of 3. Patriots offense not great, but the Seattle defense only has 3 possessions against them in the red zone, but they were all against the Rams, and one of them was the turnover on downs to win the game. Blah, blah, blah. Then we get to the other side. If anybody, do we want to talk about? Is there any specific player matchup that you think the Seattle defense has over the Patriots offense? Because I don't think I highlighted enough the Seattle defense. Maybe the defensive tackles, Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy could take over this game for me.
Well, for both sides, again, I am very quickly interested to see the Gonzo and JSN matchup. But in terms of like favorable matchups for the Seahawks on defense, and I hate to say it, but it is truly any pass rusher versus Will Campbell. I love Will Campbell, and I was very firm on like he's going to be a good tackle. It has been a rough playoff run for him. It seems like he is just a turnstile. Seems like he cannot block anyone. He's letting everyone and anyone through the offensive line. So, I don't know what it has to be, but pick your favorite pass rusher. The one that you think is going to do the best. Maybe it's D-Law, and just let him pin his ears back against Will Campbell, and let the vet teach the rookie there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important as far as like scoring goes. Both teams are really, really good at scoring. With the Patriots and the Seahawks, I think like whoever can limit their opponent to under 20 points, like I think it's more so a risk to like 20, 21 kind of points, right? And I mean,
if this gets shootouty, who do you favor?
Seattle.
Okay.
That's
Patriots.
I just with how Drake May's been playing so far this year, in the playoffs specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could trust him. I think the lights might be a little too bright for him this early, which is it's not saying anything or discrediting him for the run that he's been on, but more so it's just acknowledging the fact that he's not meeting what he did in the regular season. With that being said, like I do think that he's going to be a very successful quarterback in this league, and I'm looking forward to future years in what he can do. But, Darnold's been in this league for a very long time at this point compared to Drake May. And the speed of the game and everything, I like Seattle's roster a lot more, and that's why I'm leaning more towards the Seahawks in that situation. But yeah, again, I think that this is, as much as I am an offensive-minded guy, it's definitely going to be coming down to the defense and what they can do to stop it, because Seattle's been very efficient and they will attack you at every angle, and that's the biggest thing that I worry about for New England.
I also, before we get into the Patriots defense against Seattle offense, this is something I want to watch for. Again, they didn't run it a lot, but when you think about what May has done well, specifically in the run game, scramble game, the place that you can pull a little lever with Seattle is if you get into empty, if you space these guys out, and especially if what Ryan is saying is that Emanwari is taped up or Emanwari isn't playing, something like that, because that's now a factor. You're spacing out a nickel who isn't supposed to be out there. That kind of helps your scramble game, just being spaced out. Something to look for. I don't know if they do it often, but there is a lever you can pull with this team in empty. What was it? The Colts did it a few times with Rivers, and it did like kind of not really like stunt Seattle, but there was some 7-yard checkdowns in there that just free easy access yards, because those were the passes Phillip Rivers needed to make. Drake May can absolutely make those passes. So that is something I am watching for this game. Just a little wild card. Maybe it happens 3 plays, but that's something I want to see if McDaniels really turns to, if he's in a place where he's kind of antsy and wants some answers to get down the field. And then we get into the Seattle offense, Patriots defense. Starting with the Patriots defense, because I think this is where, again, I always kind of try and take it from the angle of how does the underdog pull off the upset before I talk about the favorite. The Patriots defense this year, their blitz rate in the regular season was 26%. In the postseason, it's at 38%. Everybody has learned the name Zach Kerr, and that kind of flip that they had with Terrell Williams having to leave due to prostate cancer, and he's been cleared, so great for him. He'll be at the game, I think, with the guys. But Zach Kerr, his story, he was a quality control coach with Vrabel at the Titans. He was a quality control coach with like the Giants last year. He's never been a position coach in his life. Oh, and obviously he's never called plays. And he is kind of he's the reason this team is in the Super Bowl. And Vrabel does have a piece of the defense. I know that for sure, but still, that's another fascinating story to this. For Patriots, I think it's easy to, we can be cliche, win on first and second down to set up third and pass, third and long, Sam Darnold. But you think about the Seattle Seahawks versus the Rams. They were 7 of 13 on third down. Specifically on 3rd and 6, they were 3 of 9. Darnold had 14 interceptions on the season. 6 came when he was not blitzed. 8 came when he was blitzed. So there isn't really a, here or there. So again, you can get him with disguise in the back end, simulated pressures. You can get him with really mugging up the fronts. The Patriots have the highest stacked box rate in the postseason this year. So again, that kind of shows mug looks. That shows just a lot of guys showing that they're going to bring pressure. How does Darnold handle that? That was something that the Rams got him with last year, obviously we know. And then his turnover-worthy play percentage, something I love to use for PFF. When he's clean, when it's a clean pocket, 2.5%. When he's under pressure, it goes up to 4.6, so it almost doubles. Barmore and Milton Williams, I think, are the biggest pieces of this game. Because if what they're doing stunting-wise and the way that they have really just bullied the interior, they got Quinn Miners a few times. Quinn Miners has been the best right guard in football. Guess what? They get to face the worst right guard in football in Anthony Bradford this week. So, again, there is a world where Sam Darnold in the first half cannot throw the football because Milton Williams is in the backfield for another QB hit or another pressure or another sack. Who knows? The biggest thing, you mentioned it, Ben. How is JSN covered? The key to this defense has been man coverage on the back end with those two corners specifically, Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. Versus JSN, does that change? Because if you keep running man coverage, you kind of give Darnold what I like to call answers to the test. Oh, it's man coverage with JSN. I throw it to him because he's really good at it, and I hope my guy wins. Or is there going to be disguised bracket coverage? Kind of throw Marcus Jones in there. You kind of bring Craig Woodson, who's been another fun name of this, secondary, the rookie safety from Cal. Could he be in this mix? JSN played 16 snaps in the slot against the Rams in the title game, which was the most of the season in a single game for him. So is that kind of mixed in? They lined him up in the backfield against the Rams? Are they so specifically, are they going to kind of program their offense around how do we get JSN the football every single time? Or is this kind of going to be a kind of line them out wide, we know what we're expecting, and we kind of let everybody else eat? Who knows? JSN had 10 catches against the Rams. 9 of them were first downs. Not going to win that game for New England if that happens. But
no, I mean you're definitely not going to win that game for New England. But this is a different level of cornerback that you're facing, specifically Christian Gonzalez, right? And maybe the
Marvin Mims laughs in your face.
maybe the offensive play design is just keep him in the slot, keep him far away from Gonzo. But Gonzo is truly one of the best man coverage corners in the entire league, right? He allows only a 59% or 59 passer rating when targeted, and a 44% catch rate. At this point, your defense has been very good throughout the postseason and everything. Don't change it up. Stick with what got you here. And then at that point, if it truly is kind of what you're saying and you are giving Sam Darnold, answers to the quiz, then change it up. But I feel like you need to at least try to figure out, or you need to at least try, before you figure out what option B, C, D, E is, so on and so forth, and try to see if you can get option 1 going.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lastly, with this matchup is, you mentioned him, Kenneth Walker. How's Kenneth Walker going to play in this game again, no Charbonnet. He's played some of his best football in the last, 3-4 weeks, games, however you want to say, against San Francisco and the Rams. New England is a different beast. Just that, plain simple. In the regular season, Kenneth Walker had 33 explosive carries on 221 attempts. 14.9% of his carries went for 10-plus yards. The postseason, that drops to 10.5% for explosive runs on 38 carries. Let's talk about New England's defense. They have allowed one total explosive to running backs in the postseason on 42 carries. So again, this is a new, because of what they're doing, stacking the box with their linebackers, really important. Also, if we're talking about ankle injuries, Robert Spillane did not practice on Wednesday with an ankle injury. He's another key to this. So again, heart of that defense, heart of that spine, he's a big piece of how you're able to disguise what you do. So interesting to see if he plays, and if he does play, is he as close to 100% as you possibly can. And then you get into the last thing before we get into any picks, the red zone stats on this side of the ball. Seattle's offense, 8 for 11, 3 field goals, 0 turnovers. That's pretty impressive. New England's defense, 2 of 8, 2 turnover on downs, 2 field goals, an interception, and a fumble. That's pretty good. This game's going to be decided on when Seattle's in the red zone against the New England Patriots defense. I'll say it right now, just because those two sides are showing to be really strengths of the postseason for them. 11 red zone drives in 2 games for Seattle. 4 forced turnovers in the red zone for New England. Again, that's just
So,
pretty good stuff.
Matt, you're telling me the big deciding factor in a Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl is the Patriots red zone offense, or the Seahawks red zone offense versus the Patriots red
Ben,
zone.
I'm really glad you connected the
defense.
dots, because that's exactly where I was hoping we would find ourselves. But,
Interesting.
and then just the only special teams nugget I put on here, Marcus Jones and Rashid Shaheed are the kick returners. No,
Two best.
two of the best.
Two best.
Well, Marcus Jones, punt returner. Chisholm returns kicks. So, again. But Shaheed, specifically. Is Shaheed the closest thing we've seen to Devin Hester? No, Cordero Patterson does exist. But he's really good. He's really good. And it's just me
Don't kick it to that
manifesting.
guy.
Yeah, me just manifesting, like, what if he returns it on the first play? Because
Don't
that'd be pretty
don't kick it that guy. Pull a Broncos just I don't know, or not.
yeah.
Rams.
Yeah, where
And
the
just
Ram-
kick it out of the end zone every time.
The Rams said touchback every time.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep.
But that's all my points. I know I went long.
Yes.
Thank you all for sticking through, listening to me through. But again, this is the exciting point of the game, of the season to just, it's all wrapped up. So this game deserves my best. But let's get into picks. Does anybody want to start?
I'll start. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna
Hammer
start.
down.
Hammer down. As we said, we've dropped subtle hints over the course of the episode about that Super Bowl between the Patriots and Seahawks many years ago now at this point. I'm gonna again give my pick, and we'll give the final score. The final score of this game is gonna be 28-24. It's gonna be a little bit reverse this time. Seahawks are gonna win it on that same exact score that you lost it. Maybe it'll come down to Ken Walker, 1 yard touchdown there to seal it. The poetic, beauty that would be if that is how they win it. But yes, I do have the Seahawks winning this game 28-24.
I'll go next and say 31-23 Seahawks.
Oh no, we're all gonna pick Seahawks. Matt, save us.
I fancy myself a Drake May guy. Not on this night. Not on this night.
Oh!
I have Seattle 31, Patriots 13. I think Seattle runs away with
Wow.
this one.
Wow.
I think going into the postseason when we did the playoff predictions, I said it on that show specifically. It's just like I think just Seattle is levels ahead of everybody else. Everything that I find in this matchup plays to Seattle outside of one factor. What if Drake May is nuclear? Like that's really the biggest thing. And I can't put myself to believe in him getting better against this defense. And even if the conditions are better, even if, all these ifs that you want to put in the universe, I understand. He played that second half against Denver. Well, didn't score. The only offensive touchdown that they scored against Denver was on that short field fumble. So again, that's a really good defense too. But he was missing throws in that game too. So I think they just have to be perfect. And I think slowly, Seattle kind of condenses on them, and the score looks pretty ugly. But
Yeah. Does it? So with the 31-13, final score, in this little kind of
let's put this
scenario,
up there.
I
The
love
sweep.
that. From the scenario, I'm sure this will not end badly. I'm sure this still frame of us, right?
It's got to be up here.
Is not going to end badly for us. I know it. In this scenario that you've made up in your head, 31-13 Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like a definitive 30? Like this was a blowout. We knew it at halftime, or is it like, hey, we're gonna keep it a little close. Seahawks turn it on in the fourth quarter, okay? Or is it gonna be like last year, where at halftime we knew that this game was over. The Eagles were gonna win. There's nothing the Chiefs.
I think it's gonna be like one possession game halftime, and I think either coming out of half, getting a turnover. I think Seattle just presses on the neck. I think that's
what I'm thinking. Halfway through the third, probably.
I think you're just gonna feel a play, whether it's maybe Shaheed 40-yard return as we mentioned, maybe it's a blocked kick, just one of those plays that you just remember of a Super Bowl, that you go, oh, that kind of flipped the football game, and I think Seattle just has all the mentality to just step on the neck. That's another thing with the Seattle team and even New England, we got the two toughest teams, two toughest coaches. This is gonna be a fight. I could absolutely please make me wrong. Make this a game. Make this a play on the goal line, 28-24. That'd be pretty cool. But, that's all for the Super Bowl preview. Look at us.
She wrote, well, betting lines. Do we want to quickly do betting lines? If we don't have time, that's all right.
I'll throw mine at the wall just to see it stick, just because it's the Super Bowl.
Also, keep a line in the back of your head, by the way. We're going to make a little 3-pick parlay here. I'll keep track of that. Anyways, go for it.
I mean, as far as line, what do you mean, I guess? Are we just doing picks?
A prop. So do your normal parlay and then just have a prop, and we'll make a 3-prop parlay.
Yeah, so as far as I wasn't even going to go individual, I was just going to throw my leg out there. I was just going to say Kenneth Walker touchdown. That's going to be what I'm hanging my hat on.
Yep.
Because I was the anytime touchdown guy all year, and that's what I need to do. So that's my leg.
Why stray away?
Yep.
I agree. Yes. So as far as my parlay goes, I already have it placed. It will be both Drake May and Sam Darnold to go over 225. JSN 70 plus and Ken Walker 80 plus receiving and rushing. That gets you almost at 400 at plus 399. We were so close. $5 gives you a payout of $24.97. And my line, I guess I'll kind of stay true to what I did. I'll pick the alt spread here. I'll be a little bit more cautious. I'm a little bit, I'm projecting a little bit of a closer game than you guys are at this point. So I will do Seahawks minus 2.5.
How did I know Ben was going to pick it to be right at the field goal line, as he loves to do? Look at us.
What?
I'm going to... Ugh.
Ugh,
Do I want to do the meme,
do
or
it.
do I want to pick a straight? AJ Barner rushing yard. He's their tush push guy.
Okay.
Why
Is that
not?
what you're... Okay,
That's going to
okay.
be my leg. Plus 110. Again,
We're
like I
gonna
said,
find it.
he's their tush push guy. Let's get one more tush push before we kind of wrap up that play. I think that's it for that, but I think that'll
Oh
get us.
no. It's not.
Oh,
It's not on FanDuel. Oh no.
It's not.
It's not on FanDuel.
If you go to the over under, yeah, it's right there.
Player rushing over under. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on.
You can't.
There it is.
Yeah.
I found it. Yep. Find it. So, quick recap. As our projections or predictions would suggest, it is a Seahawks heavy 3-leg parlay to round out the season for the Pigskin Project boys. Ken Walker anytime touchdown. Seahawks to cover minus 2.5, and AJ Barner over a half yard. That just puts us at a respectable plus 286. That is $5 to win 1933. And yeah, hopefully it hits. It'd be a great way for us to go out on the regular season here, boys.
Do you guys want to
Yeah.
hear my card? This is more so for you guys than anybody else. You guys want to hear the stuff I've bet on since
I would love-
since I woke up today. Oh,
I would love to hear it.
I've been feasting. The traditional, I took Cooper Kupp over receiving yards. I just think that if he catches three balls, he's going to have 35 yards. He's right, like it's 32.5 right now. I think if they load up the box the way I do, I think Kupp being in the slot is just going to be a target funnel in zone. Over on players to throw a pass, 2.5 plus 160 on DraftKings. I love this prop every time. McDaniels always has some trick plays. Think about the Eagles game. Brady dropped it. And then I kind of like went into it. I'm like, okay, if I'm picking this, have the skill players thrown a pass? Kupp threw a pass this season. Diggs threw a pass last season. JSN threw a pass last season. And Mac Hollins has thrown a pass in the league. I think he was with the Raiders. So again, we got some receivers who have thrown the football on both sides. So
We have options.
interesting. And then you always get the hedge of like if one guy comes out for a play or comes out for a 2-minute drill. You remember when Steve Angeli came in for Notre Dame that against Penn
Boy,
State?
do
Like
I.
you get that little thing. Darnold interceptions. I have again minus 128 on FanDuel. 2+ is plus 342 on DraftKings. Again, this is just me betting. Like he can't keep getting away with this with Darnold. Like he was so perfect against the Rams. Regression to the mean. Turn the ball over. Maybe once, maybe twice. If he sputters. This one,
I'm so sorry, Ryan.
I don't know why. I don't know why I picked this. Player to break the receiving record, 216 yards. 30 to
That
1.
was a choice.
What if JSN just does it? How sweet would it be?
it'd be
That's all I thought when I placed it.
amazing.
How
for
sweet
us.
would this be? How sweet would this one be? Drake Thomas to get a sack. Drake on Drake crime. He went to NC State. Drake May's a Tar Heel. There we
All
go.
Okay.
And
Let
then
us. Yeah.
doink a field goal. 6-1. Longest kick return. Under 35.5. I'm fading. And then Carlton Davis first interception plus 1,300 and Ernest Jones first interception plus 1,300.
There you go. He told you guys he cooked there. He placed a lot. Again, I want to apologize really quickly. I'll make it like 15 seconds, Ryan. No, it was really funny. I want to give a quick shout out to to my fiance. She had explicitly told me to not come on here and tell our beautiful viewers what her Gatorade pick is, because she says she doesn't want everyone to bet it. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't want everyone to bet it. She doesn't want the line to move, which really made me chuckle that she thinks that the three of us have that kind of motion in Vegas. But maybe one day. But that's it. We'll get out of here for the sake of Ryan. Ryan has a lot of important stuff to get into.
Purple. The color is purple. Let's go around.
Stop it. Really Stop. What are we doing? Why are we throwing money away?
We are throwing money away.
Who's winning Super Bowl MVP?
No. Listen. No. Gatorade color. This is the final thing. Give me a color. I'm going light purple. It's going to be the Gatorade light or whatever. It's going to be purple.
What is wrong with you? No, light blue.
Ernest Jones, 90-1.
Ernest Jones is not the Gatorade color, Matt. No.
Josh Dobbs, 120-1.
Good God.
That's a thing.
What is your?
Yeah, classic lemon lime, yellow, bright green, whatever you want to say. I think it's bright green. I digress. This was something we got into last year.
I think the Glacier Freeze is the best. So the light blue one.
There you go. I was deciding.
Velus Jones Jr. 150-1.
That's it. Thank you for tuning in to the Pigskin Project.
No final thoughts. It's the last regular season. It's the last
regular
NFL
season
show.
It's the Super Bowl.
Yes, by all means. Matt, what are your final thoughts?
What a season, guys.
Josh Dobbs.
What a season. I mean, seriously, we did this semi-consistently for the whole year. And now here we are at the Super Bowl. The offseason is right around the corner. We get to analyze so much. Everybody is now involved with the offseason right around the corner. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody.
Yep, exactly. A great season. It was wonderful, even through my dismay that was the Eagles and Jeff Stoutland, and who cares, right? But it was a great season. That being said, it does not stop for the Pigskin Project. I'm putting Matt on the spot here, and Matt has not agreed to this, and I'm kind of just forcing him into this. Next week, mock draft. Stay tuned. That will be out. It'll be fun. Again, it does not stop for us here. And, again, great season. Ryan, close us out here. I don't know. Maybe you have a tear-jerking epilogue or something for us.
No. Happy to be back. We'll see what the off season has to bring. I guess tear-jerking, sad news. I personally, and I'm not ruling out either of my two amazing co-hosts, but I personally will not be making it to the Combine this year. That is normally something that we plan on doing, but as of this moment, barring any changes last second, I will not be going to the Combine for the first time in 5 years now at this point. So crazy stuff. Yeah. So crazy stuff.
Guys.
Kidding. I will be starting a new job. The problem cannot dedicate PTO within the first month. That's my own personal rule. So without further ado, thank you Spotify for Podcasters, Regional Radio Sports Network, and Uppercut Screaming for helping us grow as a podcast. And until next week, the off season, the long dreaded off season. We'll see you guys then. Enjoy it. Have a good night.